And we are live. Gentlemen, welcome back to yet another episode of the Mecca of Banter podcast. I am this week's host, Henry Wind. You can find me on Twitter at Henry Wind. It's been a couple weeks since I posted, fellas. I've been busy, been like opening a store and shit, but here we are. We're out here now. As I say every single week, it's just
say it, Hen.
great week to be a Manchester United fan, and it feels so good every Monday when I get on here and just proclaim that to the world.
Raise your hand if you got 3 points this week.
Hey, how we feeling?
I was watching on YouTube.
How we feeling, fellas? How we feeling? But it's great to be here. We have a great episode for you. But let's check in with the fellas. Dobes. How you doing, bro?
I'm doing fantastic. And you put it perfectly. Great week to be a Manchester United fan. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself when I say this, but Kobe Maino's the best midfielder in the entire world. And we got 3 points this weekend. So extremely happy to be here. Happy to dive in. But, some still want Ten Hag out. But happy to be here.
Yeah, we got the best midfielder in the world and the goal of the season in the same game. It's just great to be here, fellas. It's great to be here. Lucas, the other winner of the group, how we feeling today, brother?
Oh, it feels so good, man. Kai Havertz is the best left back and left winger in the world. So we've got that going.
I had that on their bingo card.
Not me.
Well, I never had a doubt in him, despite what all you guys might have been saying. I've always been super high on him. Some things are just sweeter when they don't come easy. You know what I mean? When you got to work for them. So I'm super stoked to be here.
I'm happy to see you. Nick Hayflinger, proud of you for showing up today. Check in. How you feeling?
Yeah, as the great Marshawn Lynch once said, I'm only here so I don't get fined. I really did not want to be here for this one, boys, as much as I didn't want to wake up and watch the performance that Chelsea had over the weekend. But here we are, so I'm here to dive in.
Happy to see you. I'm also glad that we're going to be diving in. I have some things to say. And last, but certainly not least, it was the best of times. It was the worst of times. We have Mr. Tottenham himself, Andy Hoover. How you feeling?
You guys need to pump the brakes. The sappiness coming out of you three that caught 3 points this week is unreal. Let's all take a step back. And we're
September Premier League champions, man. You got it.
Hey, and October. Don't even sweat it. No. You know what? I'm pumped to be here, boys. Let's get into this one. I'm sure we've got some hot takes. Let's rip.
All right, Mr. Spice. We got you covered. Starting right off, we're gonna head into our weekend update. Kind of starting it off with what potentially could have been the game of the weekend. It was Liverpool Man City coming away with a 1-1 tie from a Haaland goal and then an absolute screamer from Trent Alexander-Arnold, Mr. Adidas himself. Gentlemen, for those of you that woke up early for the 6:30 match, what were your thoughts on this game?
It was the only thing I wanted to say is I literally was about to text in our group message dogging Trent for his defensive positioning on Doku and how awful it was. And as I was typing it out, he scored that goal and I immediately deleted the entire message because as much as I hate to say it was a fantastic finish. So got to give him credit where credit was due. But man was getting cooked on that left side.
Yeah, it's kind of like what we've come to expect from Trent, right? Like he does a job, not a great one, but he does a job defensively. And then he can still produce moments of magic. It's not always goals, but a lot of times it's like that pivotal ball. It's that whipping cross, but he did it. And of course he just had to be premiering the new Adidas Predator that he made the switch over from Under Armour. He was the first person to debut it. And so of course social media blew up as if Trent was the best player in the entire world because he was wearing those boots when he scored. But yeah,
Henry can't say it. Those boots are sick. Those boots are sick.
They're so sick.
I was
Such a cool event. That's insane.
That even pointed it out made me happy.
Perfect on they were dead absolutely perfect on those boots. Henry can't say it, but I'm not.
My hands are tied, fellas.
Just big around the bush there.
Yeah,
I think you gotta. I saw a tweet this week. It was the funniest thing I saw about that game, and it was Jeremy Doku dribbles like he already hears the dribbling comps in the dribbling comps music in his head. Like he is the fiercest dribbler ever, and everything's so exaggerated and it's awesome. It's so much fun to watch. So I think throw him a little credit. I didn't watch much of this game. Friday was late, but
yeah, this was a tough one. I was kind of in and out, watching, laying in bed on my phone, fell back asleep, or pick it back up. I think this is like exactly what you'd expect of these two teams. I think the biggest takeaway, one, because of the two mistakes, but like Allison, man, like two terrible mistakes. And I think even worse, it was like I heard he like strained something in his hamstring or whatever. I don't know if you guys saw when he tried to like awkwardly clear it with the outside of his foot. And I think he's out like 5 weeks now.
Yeah, it's
I
a
think,
big
or something
deal.
like that. But I mean, yeah, it's
I've been
happy with the 1-1.
Best goalie in the Premier League shouts as a cap. Just saying, because
No, I think he's the best goalie in the Premier League for sure. But like I think that he just didn't have a great game. And the 5 weeks injury, maybe it's less, maybe it's more, but like that's a huge thing because Liverpool's sitting in 3rd place right now. That's a huge game for like the potential title contention at the end of the season. 1-1 doesn't really favor either of them. It only benefits Arsenal, but yeah, I felt like the entire game was just kind of like feeling each other out. There wasn't really like any big moments or any huge missed chances or anything like that. It just was kind of lackluster for what could have been a banger of a game. Is what it is.
and City keeps dropping points. This is going to be one of the more fun finishes we have. Like, there's a lot of really good teams in this league, and they are not doing what they were doing last year. They obviously could still at a lot of time.
This is very similar to last year.
I was just going to say the same thing. It was like
for a while, and then City put it on.
Oh wait,
and went on.
You're right. I forgot about that.
yeah, like remember Arsenal was like
You gave up pretty early last year.
Like,
if I
90,
remember.
it was like the 96% of the time they were.
they were leading.
The stats.
Up a dynasty level, and then
Yeah, dynasty
I
level.
forgot about that.
Yeah, Winks and Griffin
don't
did a
start.
fucking episode about it.
I actually just don't even watch Arsenal, to be fair.
Yeah, I understand. I wouldn't either.
You guys
So,
don't like. Okay.
So the next game that we have to go into, is this the game of the weekend? I think this could definitely take the cake as the game of the weekend. We have a Newcastle 4, Chelsea 1. And whether it's the game of the weekend or not, I think we can all claim that it was the most, what do we say? Entertaining, sure, but we also felt the most like bittersweet about this game for sure. So, Nikki, I'm going to do you the honors of letting you kick it off. I will say Sterling's goal, absolute peach. The free kick was gorgeous. And there's not a lot else to say from a high about that game. So, Nikki, start us off with this recap.
Yeah, no, definitely no highs to really talk about at all. So I don't think we need to talk about it at all much. But I will say, even Sterling's goal, it's because he didn't continue his run and just go and score a goal and decided to hold up the play and get fouled.
Very true.
And he
Very
wasn't
true.
even really fouled. Like, I don't think Trippier really fouled him. Like, I think he just touched his shoulder. Sterling fell to the ground immediately and then got a free kick. And I'm not kidding. If he didn't score that, it's one of those things, again, I was about to send a text message of how shit Sterling was playing and how he was looking for a foul there, and he puts in a banger of a goal. I mean, I'm going to say it. I gave him credit last week, but he's so inconsistent. He doesn't put in consistent performances for us. The other big down that I really wanted to talk about, because I didn't want to talk about this much, was Reece James. I mean, he's been injured for so long, and he's one of the most important pieces in our team sometimes, and he gets a red card, and we don't get to see him again for another game, and it's super annoying, and you don't want to see that out of a captain. So I definitely was very upset and not happy about it. We'll also say I think Caicedo was desperately missed in the midfield. But yeah, that's all I really had.
I mean, you guys got fucking pummeled.
Yes, absolutely.
Tell me who the hell number 16 is. I still can't say his name.
I can't say it really either. It's Ugchukawu, I think it is.
Chukwuwu?
I really do. He's a youngster, and to be fair, it's because Caicedo was the last person to come back from international break, so he wasn't fully fit, so that's who we threw in. And yeah.
That was the first thing we said this morning. Was like we said it at the exact same time. And we were like, I can confidently tell you, I've never heard of this guy.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, my brother's pretty high on that kid. Like, I remember all going into preseason, like my brother talked about him quite a bit of like someone he was excited to watch. And then, correct me if I'm wrong, but he's been injured for a while. Like at the start of the season,
a lot of this is injuries, and I didn't even go into that. And I know we all have been talking about that, but like. Not every single
player can be injured for a couple of months, getting injured in the preseason, and then come in and drop man of the match performances. Like, I understand that it takes a really special kind of player and a special kind of guy.
I'm not sliding the kid. Spurs may start next week a kid named Alfie Dorrington, and I promise you've never heard of him either. So like, injuries happen, bro. I'll come into the defense of that, but it was like I thought they bought a lot of guys. Like, there's no one else in that.
We have a lot of injured.
I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, though. Newcastle started like a 17-year-old. Like,
yes.
Also, he kind of balled too. He kind of balled too.
I thought I think you said it perfectly. They took it to us, and that Newcastle looked like the better side.
It was at St. James, right?
Yes.
Dog, we had the exact same experience there. Like, sometimes that place is when you're at a tough spot with your club, which is exactly where Spurs were last year. Like, they may get to you and they may pummel you. Like, I'm sick of Newcastle, and there were comments sent in the chat that Dobes and I both said up the Chelsea, because our hate for Newcastle was greater than it was for the Blues at the moment. So I think that just can happen.
Yeah, and Ugchuwu is 19 too, so like he's a youngster just as
well. For sure.
Such mixed emotions during this one, because Newcastle United has very much become one of my most hated teams because of their whatever reason, one season wonder superiority complex that their fans seem to have. You think they're like back-to-back Champions League winners. So I wanted them to lose, but it was also so satisfying just seeing them pummel Chelsea. So it was one of those games for the neutral. It was kind of fun to watch. I would have preferred Chelsea to win because I think they're more of a threat in the top 4 race, but at the same time, it's always fun to see Chelsea get battered.
Yeah, no one's ever going to complain about that.
Threat in a top 4 race. I was happy Brentford lost, dude.
You're like, for the life of me, man.
Yeah, please. Like, I still don't have to scroll all the way down because Brentford lost, so I'm fucking.
I respect that
positive that I have right now.
100%. So Nikki, looking ahead, you have Brighton, you have United, Everton, Sheffield, Newcastle again. It's going to be a busy next couple of weeks for you all.
We already had a busy couple of weeks. Like I think it's almost we're lulling out a little bit.
Only time will tell, my friend. Only time will tell. Moving over to the other side of London. And when I say the other side, I mean the victorious side of London. Brentford Arsenal. A 1-0 scraping by win by Kai Havertz. Lucas, are you drinking a Red Bull at 6:30 at night?
I'm gonna lift so many weights as soon as we're done here. So yes.
You're wild,
I haven't heard.
Huh?
Nothing.
Buddy.
That's awesome. I'm lifted before this. Good for you.
Didn't have time. But nonetheless, 1-0, top of the table. As they say, G-Tech Community Stadium is the toughest place to play away. We rose to the occasion yet again. It is good to have Odegaard back in what so far this season has been a seemingly like full strength lineup for us. I think Zinchenko had another really, really good performance. I think that this year, for some reason, he's been much more of a two-way left back than he was last season. I felt like last season he was very offensive focused and didn't make a lot of important plays defensively. But had several good whipped in balls. I think he won like 3 or 4 duels and then had that backdoor clearance in the second half that was great too. So shouts to him. For those of you, I don't know if you guys said you watched it or not. I think most of you said you didn't, but Trossard's goal getting called back was like so weird and unfortunate and marginal. But looking at the angles they looked at, it was the correct call, which isn't something that we're quite used to as of lately. It just sucks that it was like so marginal and like how they drew up the lines, and that sucks. But
it's all the same these days, dude. It's hard
it
to
is.
even
I know.
What do you even say anymore?
I know. That's why I just said like it's just unfortunate at this point.
For sure.
But after the ball got like crossed in, we had Martinelli, Martinelli, Jesus, and Trossard all crashing the net, which was a positive to see that, when a ball is getting played in behind, at least we have guys crashing the net and not, relying on one guy to make the run and nobody be there to clean it up in case the keeper makes a save, which was what happened. So regardless, it was really cool to see all the guys crowd around Ramsdale, congratulating him for the clean sheet. That made me super happy. I thought that he got better as the game went on. I know he had that howler at the very beginning.
Brother.
That one throw too.
Yeah.
Man has the yips. Jesus Christ.
For sure. But I mean, with his lack of starts lately, it was cool to see. I mean, he's like one of those guys, whether or not you guys hate Arsenal, like he's never been bad in any media. Like, yes, he makes mistakes and stuff like that, but like genuine good dude. And I'll attest to that for any players that I feel that way about on your guys' teams too. But genuinely good guy, and so it sucks that he hasn't been getting the starts that he's deserved lately. But for him to come out and get a clean sheet, regardless of if our third goalie Declan Rice or fourth goalie Zinchenko have to make a couple saves there at the beginning and towards the end of the second half on the goal line, it was still cool to see us celebrate him first of all. And then, obviously, as Henry talked about in the intro, the man of the hour off the bench, Kai Havertz to the rescue. I said it at the beginning.
One great goal, baby. One good goal.
That's what he got for Chelsea, eh?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that Arteta said it perfectly, and I said it at the beginning, but when things come easy, we don't value them as much, and we all know how rough of a start Kai's had at Arsenal, so I think that it makes it all the more enjoyable for him to finish in that moment and to be celebrated for it. And I'll leave it at that because this is by no means a streak or anything like that. Assuming he gets minutes next game or next two games, which he should, against Wolves at home and Luton away, I could see him getting a start in at least one of those. He's still got something to prove to get a spot in the starting 11, but as far as the team overall goes, I think we look good. And the next two games, especially in the Premier League, are games that we talk about all the time that, they are should wins. And so we just have to go out there and do that.
I mean, isn't Kai on a 2-game goal streak between starting at left back for Germany and
it's a streak
against Arsenal?
If you count that, I guess it is.
I mean, a game's a game.
I'm willing to accept that Ramsdale's a good guy. I'm sure, and he does do good media. To be fair, I think he's still comfortable. Okay, call him a wanker. Like he's
he's a goalie.
Obnoxious.
He's a
keeper. No, I agree. He's a keeper. But
show me one who isn't.
You're right. I think Vicario is too. To be fair, just Italian with some drip.
And when I ask this question, this is no banter. But when did Jorginho become vice captain? I didn't. That's like actually no banner. I didn't know that was.
No, you're good. I think one of the first games he captained was one of our Champions League games. I want to say maybe it was against Sevilla or Lens or.
I mean, someone's got to wear the band,
It was after Odegaard. It was after Odegaard got hurt, and then Saka captained the next one, I think. And then it was Jorginho after that. But I know that Arteta said several times in pressers, either around practices or after games or whatever, that, he's, regardless of whether he plays or not, he's one of those guys that's like been there, done that. And so I couldn't give you an exact date, but
Got you. I saw that last game and I thought that was interesting. And to be fair, like he was a captain at Chelsea, so
He's a leadership figure.
For sure.
That's a
Your
young
captain's not
locker.
always your best player.
Yep.
Yeah,
Which he is not.
which he's
But-
not. Double down on that.
What? No, third in Balloon d'Or. No, he's great. No, he's great, dude. He's great.
Champions League.
Well, congrats on the 3 points. I wished nothing more than for Arsenal to drop points and then for them to blame something like, squad rotation or some other bullshit. I would have loved to see Arteta's post-match.
We didn't really do
that.
squad rotation.
But doesn't mean he wouldn't have made the excuse. But moving on to a manager that'll never make an excuse for a loss, which I have a feeling many more are coming. Tottenham Hotspur lost against Aston Villa with a scoreline of 2-1 in Villa's favor, with the funniest back four I've ever seen in my entire life.
It was good.
I know you got some thoughts on this game, brother. So why don't you start us off?
Yeah, dude, maybe Anne should have complained. It's worked out for a lot of other people, bro.
Yeah, bro.
His like little schoolboy attitude towards it's not doing us any favors at this point. I don't know, man. There's so many directions I could take this. But I'm going to start with, and ultimately the point that is the most important is that the guys that are on the pitch have to do the job that they're tasked to do every day, and it doesn't matter what you're doing. If they finish 1-2 more chances in the first 20 minutes, 30 minutes, Hen did say, and I have receipts and screenshots, that Spurs were must-watch TV. It just only lasted 40 minutes. That's kind of the issue. And, I thought Villa were excellent. It's one of those things. We knew exactly what we were going to get. They were going to be structured. They're an Unai Emery. He manages really well, and he gets guys to outperform, some of their qualities. But I think they now have some fucking dogs.
Yeah, they do.
I was terrified of this game. I made very clear that I was terrified of this game because I knew this was exactly how it could go. Ben Davies and Emerson Royale at center backs. It was funny, and
It wasn't horrible at times.
No, like I was gonna say, like I think Davies had like 70 solid minutes. The biggest problem overall was who's gonna fucking mark Pau Torres in the box, bro? There wasn't one player on that pitch over 6'1". So that's issue number one. We were so vulnerable in the air, and then it's just sometimes mental lapses in small moments. Like Ollie Watkins literally walked between Emerson Royale and Ben Davies at the end to bag it, and like no discredit, it was a great play. One touch, two in through the middle, but like 9 times out of 10, I'm thinking somebody else who plays that position is going to be there. They're going to communicate to their center back partner.
That's literally the only comment I had was like, unfortunately for you guys, like the fact that your 2 center backs didn't have experience is literally the cost of both of yours.
Yeah,
which is
100%.
Just because of the center backs not being in the correct position.
Literally, Davies lost Pau Torres on the run into the box, which he's always a threat anyway. That's a really good position for them, and they're going to score a lot of those goals. But they just got lost for brief moments, and if they bag the first couple goals, that one from Kulusevski goes in the 3rd minute, obviously you're talking about a different game. But I don't want to like be all doom and gloom about it. It fucking sucked. Don't get me wrong. Every time I wake up and watch these games and they blow up like that, it's been the last 3. It's just still better than what I've been watching. Like, it's still better. I will take these losses. This is a learning process. I was never saying, manager of the year. We've watched 2 really good months, and I think everyone else saw what they could be with 2 good months under a full squad. Injuries happen to every team. I'm speaking Ange's mouth the same way that Arsenal fans speak out of Arteta's. Like, what are you going to do, bro? Just play. You just have to keep going. Obviously, you want reinforcement in January, but that's never been our prerogative. That's never been, an on-brand move for Spurs.
Levy, what?
Yeah, Levy digging in his pockets is hard, but for the first time in a long time, there's positivity around it. Like, now's the time to actually spend the dollars, spend the pounds, whatever. But, yeah, the takeaway is that you just got to finish your chances.
Yeah.
Like, you can talk about injuries, you can talk about missed calls, you can talk about. I thought they got unlucky with an offsides from Ollie Watkins, but like just you like close out the game.
Yeah, and I mean, Sonny had a hat trick of called
Offsides
back
goals.
goals as well,
which is
hard.
frustrating. But I credit Aston Villa a lot more than I discredit Sonny on that. Like
I don't
he has to
discredit him
be
at all.
no, he has to be a little bit more aware because of that line. It happened, time and time again.
Yeah.
But he's always going to finish those. Like
Yeah.
you're that close. Just back up.
A little bit of a shocker. Diaby kind of had a stinker against you all. Like I was expecting Diaby to torch your back line, and it just didn't happen. He got yanked at half.
Yeah, they didn't play bad. If you watched 90 minutes, there were so many chances on both sides. They contained the players that I thought were going to torch us. I agree. No, I'm with you too. Douglas Luiz is a baller.
He's great.
That guy's a
Great shot.
baller. And when Bentancur went off after Matty Cash's
Yeah, fuck that guy.
and that one made me really mad. And I've calmed down a little bit about it, but he knew what he was doing. Like
Totally.
it's sometimes you take a yellow on a transition. I get that. Pull the guy down or something. He literally just comes back from this like 9-month like career changing injury, and that was your decision. Like, not much sympathy, but I don't think he should have been sent off. I was close, but
my two takeaways from, I guess, three. One, like you said, Matty Cash, huge wank, always has been. Never liked him. Also, just looks like he's a wank. Emi Martinez is still very hateable, but he stood on his head. He was unbelievable, dude.
So good.
Unbelievable. And then the third one is Pau Torres has finally settled in. Like I think even without the goal, take the goal completely out of it, Pau Torres is an absolute like baller.
He's a monster, man. He's an absolute monster.
And it was wild that I to be honest, when they pulled that deal off, I was like, Villa? Like I
didn't start at first too. Unai let him settle in a little bit. Now he's like one of the first names on their team sheet.
Yeah. I remember, Lucas, you and I were together. We were driving to a wedding whenever Torres got his first game time because what was it? Tyrone Mings like literally broke his ACL in the middle of a game. He had to go on. But yeah, I think that Pau Torres is a baller. I think he's really good. And a 2-1 loss against what we all consider to be an extremely, extremely strong Villa side isn't the worst thing that can happen for you all, and you're still kind of proving Ange's point every single week. Like, I think even like the 4-1 loss to Chelsea was like an anomaly. That's like not like a normal thing, and they were still getting after it. It didn't matter if you lost that game 2-1 or 4-1, but I think that you all played well, but unfortunately, it's a loss. Can I ask you a question though? I'm so confused about this. Obviously, Lo Celso scored an absolute worldie of a goal, deflection, but still a worldie.
It was a great hit.
What do you make of Lo Celso? Like, he's been in and out of the squad. Obviously, he was on loan last year, but he always gets called up for Argentina. He always kind of like balls out with them, but then he just doesn't seem to ever perform in a Spurs shirt ever.
Yeah, I think I obviously think we're watching a style that suits a lot of different guys more than the previous that we have. Like this one definitely, and he's always kind of been a progressive ball carrying center midfielder. He's playing out of necessity, but I agree. I was so pumped for him to get that goal. Like that was so cool. Guys that come in and out of sides that aren't given a chance, and it sounded like at the end of preseason, Ange kept him at Spurs. Like, I promise you're going to get your chance. I do believe in you, kind of thing. There were periods last 2 years that he'd played that like everyone wanted him out, bro. Like it's just a streaky game. I don't know how do you take it? If he goes and plays for Argentina and he played a really important 90 minutes for them against Brazil, like how do you not play him? Like
totally.
You play in form, you play the guys that are hot. And I thought he showed it. I thought he looked great. But that's not the same guy that I've seen the entire time he's been at the club.
He needs a run of games. Like, I think that the injuries will help him get a run of games, and then we can see if he can do it consistently. Then we know.
Yeah, I think he could be a really dangerous piece of the puzzle for you all if he can continue to perform.
There's so many strong midfielders if they can stay healthy and in the side. Like where Pepe Matar Sarr is still like 21 years old, and he was the first choice he was the first choice for a while. He and Bissouma with Matters, like there's a really strong sense of competition, I think, there, and that's what it turns out. That's good when you add some competition to the squad.
It's good for the boys.
Boosts everybody. Oh, that's wild.
Yeah, it's like now all of a sudden I don't just get to start just because I always have.
Yeah. We're riddled with those players.
Yeah. Well, rounding out our weekend update with the game I'm excited to talk about here. We have a United thrashing over Everton 3-0. Dobes, start us off, brother.
There are so many good takeaways from this game. I don't even know where to start. I think first off, to say beforehand, if I would have expected a 3-0 win away at Everton with the protests in the Premier League, the whole bullshit going on, I would have said you're crazy. I think the first key takeaway before anything, you guys have been hearing me talk about Kobe Mainoo for the entire season, wanting him to get healthy. He absolutely balled during the preseason, and then got hurt, but not the last few months. And the fact that I think it came out like rumors on Friday that this kid was going to start away at Everton. And by the way, Everton is like 4-1-1 or whatever it is coming in their last 6 games. So like an informed team with a crowd that like is insane. To give this 19-year-old kid like a start to play as a lone number 6 was like, one, nerve-wracking for him, but 3 touches into the game, I like literally stood up. And it seems like the simplest thing in the world. It literally seems like the simplest thing in the world, but there's a little triangle. It was like back and forth to him, and he played a cheeky little side of the foot pass. Instantly after that, I was like, oh my goodness, this kid's up for it. And like, I can't describe the hype that I've had around him, and to see him step on that stage and sort of be that young number 6 in a pivot to control the game for me is like something we've been waiting for a long time. So I do think he has a bright future. We do have to ease him in. Next, we have to talk about it. Probably the goal of the season, one of the best, instantly Premier League all-time finish. From the Lindelof 70-yard ping on a dime to the Dalot overlap run, slips him in, cross, bang. It's like I have the Rooney one. You guys can see it back here. I have the play diagram of the Rooney bike. It's like the same exact thing will happen with that goal. It'll live in like United history forever. I don't care if he wears his Ronaldo G-string. I don't care what he has to do. I don't care if he hits the C in the corner. Like when you can do things like that, like you show that you're a special player. But other than that, it was one of those, like, overall as a game, solid performance, improved, not perfect again. I didn't think Lindelof was great. I'm still not impressed with Rashford. Like, happy that, Bruno gave him his courtesy PK or whatever you want to call it, just to let him finally score a goal in the last time, I think it's like 2 months. But I'm still not necessarily happy with Rashford's form. But, 3 points is 3 points. 5 wins out of 6, most informed team in the Prem. Onana leading the league in shutouts now. So like things are starting to click a little bit. Also, shout out Luke Shaw coming back. So there's momentum. Like we have a massive stretch of games coming up here. We got Galatasaray and then Newcastle, but the performances are improving. At first it was just 3 points and then no performance. Now we're starting to get a little bit of some of the passing sequences and the passing patterns. Finally, we're clicking a little bit. And all 3 of our forwards scored. So that has literally not happened ever this year. All 3 of our forwards scored. So happy with the 3 points around the Champions League.
Dude, I was going to describe that game as, in 3 words, about damn time. Because we, like, I was so hoping that it would be like a 1-0 Everton win at home this week. And I would have gotten to tell you that, Havertz has more goals collectively than your front 3 and their substitutes. So your front 6. But then naturally all 3 of them had to score this week. So yeah, congrats on that. That's gotta be a good feeling, but I was sad to see it.
But Everton were also good too. Like I can't sit there and say that Everton weren't in the game. Yeah. Like when the pen, shout out Ashley Young, United through and through, just with the stupidest tackle in the box that I've ever seen, allowed us to go up 2-0 because Onana had to make some massive saves in that game as well to keep us in it. So we did win 3-0, but it was like Everton's a good side. So I'm pumped with 3 points away there.
You don't get that worldy goal. They grind down the first 60 minutes of every game. Like that's
Totally.
that's the Sean Dyche game plan. And if that fucking
For
worldy
3 minutes in,
yeah,
it was a
100%.
perfect start. Absolute perfect start.
Yeah, I love it. I was hyped. Dobes, what is it about Kobe Manu that's like so exciting to you? Obviously, like we've talked about it, but I'm like, you said that within 3 touches you were already stoked. So like, what was it that you saw as a center midfielder yourself? Like, what did you see
To
that
me,
was so
it's
exciting?
he's the full package. To me, he's that progressive six that can break the lines, has all the confidence in the world to take people on. And then he's got that other side of the game. He had the goal line clearance. He had block shots in the box. On that corner kick where the ball got sent back out, back facing the other way, hits that whipped ball around the corner to Bruno that instantly chance created. Like the kid just has it all. And we haven't had that like box to box sort of number six. It's like Cassie's great at that, but he's not mobile. You know, Scott McTominay can't play there, but he's not good with his feet. Like we've had all these guys that can play there and do a job. Like Kobe Mano was that like Gary Neville said it best, which is kind of crazy. Like the best compliment you can give the kid is that like he's a Pep Guardiola Man City type player. He's one of those guys that can keep the ball, pass the ball, and sort of do it all. And the fact that he can step in there in a game like that, like as a teenager, is something that like we've been waiting for him to finally emerge and get that chance and to sort of do it on that stage is like you can't ask for much more in my opinion. It's like now let's just let him continue to develop, stay healthy, and see what he can't turn into.
With him and your guys' like hype for him, what is your guys' ideal 3 in the midfield?
I think it depends on fully healthy because like early start of the season, like Cassie is a tough, like I do think in a big Champions League game, I think you need a Casemiro type player.
I honestly forgot about him.
Yes.
He's not back. He's not back till January, which is a massive loss for us. But obviously, I think it's Bruno is like the 8, the 6, or excuse me, as the 10. The 6 for me is kind of up for grabs. Like I still don't think Scott McTominay's been in the team. We've been winning, but I think he dropped like a 6.3 FOP mob rating, and still wasn't that great. So I think that like that number 8. That number 8 spot is still up for grabs for me. But like I think Galatasaray away on Wednesday, like you got to play Kobe Mano. He just did that for us. I know it's a big game, but he needs to be at number 6. Bruno needs to be that number 10. And with Mount out for another month, like I don't know who that proper number 8 is. What sounds crazy is I genuinely miss Fred. Like you guys think it might be insane, but Fred was that guy, like he'd show up against Man City, he'd show up in the big games, and he was a great box-to-box 8 because right now with so many injuries, we don't have that replacement for that position.
Totally.
It's throw Scott McTominay out and hope he can do something.
Go score a goal, lad.
Go score a goal on a set piece.
Yeah, no, I'm high on Manu. I think there was, like you said at the beginning of the game, there was that link of play that you're like, all right, this guy's up for it. And yeah, like we've sent each other compilations for 2 years now about this kid on Instagram. But for me, there was a moment earlier. What, Nick?
I was just gonna have another comment. You didn't need to like go.
Oh, you jumped in there. No, there are receipts, just like how there was receipts for a year and a half about Ten Hag coming to United. There's about 2 years of receipts in Dobes and I's DMs about Kobe Manu about how good he is. But for me, there was a moment where in the first half he dropped deep to receive the ball in between the 2 center backs, and he was playing the deepest person on the field other than Onana. And he noticed that Everton just wasn't pressuring him, and he just stood in the middle of the field with the ball and like he really didn't move, just stood there. And I was like, this kid's just in it, man. He's
got the confidence, man.
Yeah, he's not intimidated. He's not afraid of the bright lights. And I'm excited to watch him progress as well. I do want to be mindful, because like when you saw like guys like Paul Pogba at that age, like, there was also like a lot of hype around him, and there's a lot of that. And then we saw the player that he turned into in his, earlier 20s, and now he's banned for 2 years for doping, but like you don't want to overhype a player too much, but it is really cool to see Manu dropped the game that he dropped, and Garnacho score the goal that he scored. Both 18 and 19 years old. It's a cool thing to see.
It's what I think we miss a little bit. Even Pellistri coming in, like balling and sort of helping create that third goal. It's like we haven't had like it's like the ego of Anthony and sort of the ego of Sancho and like the wingers and stuff like that. All the different shit that we've had going on. Like what we saw with these kids in that game was just like they're hungry. Like some of the Antonys and the Sanchos almost just seemed like they belonged because, Anthony played with Ten Hag. Where it's like you got Pellistri who's like begging for any sort of minutes that he can possibly get on the field, and he's making them count. And same thing with Kobe Mano. And then you look at Garnacho, who's like finally gotten a run of games, and he finally does and steps up and score and does that. But it's the hunger that we've been missing that I think we haven't had with the sort of balance of like your Luke Shaws, and it's crazy. We haven't even mentioned him yet.
That was my comment. That was my comment.
Mint.
Droppable.
Fucking mint. Like literally mint. Just a world-class performance from him, and nobody ever thought it, but you're right. He's undroppable.
It's so funny.
That was my face that I made. Henry was like, I was going to ask, like, is Harry Maguire undroppable right now?
And right now, until he proves us otherwise. But
Mano looked. I agree. Like, I did watch a little bit of it, and he, like, you could tell that he was up for it. Like, it was very evident. Small touches too. It's like it's quick 1-2s. It's short. It's the very small things that I was watching. Like, oh yeah, no. Like I see.
Well, like this is similar to Basuma. Do you think similar to Basuma?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, literally.
I thought there were a lot of mannerisms in the way that he turned with the ball and quick flicks out. Yeah.
Yeah, and during preseason, I know it's preseason, but this is what he was doing in preseason. He was doing it against Madrid the entire game until he got hurt. And so when that injury happened, we were like, oh fuck, we're really gonna miss that, And even though he was 18 years old, like we're gonna miss that guy. I will say, and you hit on it a little bit. I'm getting so frustrated with Rashford, and obviously, like I love him, like he's my guy, but like I'm having a hard time understanding why Ten Hag is continuously like choosing him, and maybe it's because we don't have any other options. We have guys arrested or on suspension or whatever. Like maybe that's what it is, injuries. But like if you look at FOTMOB, he dropped an 8.0. Which is crazy.
He lost the ball 30 times.
Dude,
That's what I'm saying.
It was so bad.
Ratings.
I know. But Rashford, I mean, I'm glad he scored. And again, charity PK. But the decision making is just abysmal. It's killing me. I'm beyond frustrated with it.
Back with his ex-fiance.
Yeah, you never know.
We're getting ready to start cooking. We're getting ready to start cooking again. Picture back with her. He scores.
Speaking of cooking, fellas, we have a 10-minute segment coming your way, and I think my 10-minute segment choice is cooking. So let me cook. We are going to decide the underrated 11 of the Premier League this season so far. So how we're going to do it is the goal was that we all showed up prepared with a starting 11 of our underrated players.
I was never discussed.
It was discussed.
Yeah, Henry, that was your goal.
It was in the chat.
You said underrated 11. It said we all individually need an underrated. I never said that.
Well, this happened. Hold on, boys.
He's just calling us out.
I'm gonna come to your defense for a second. Every time we do one of these, we all always have our pick for every position, and then we discuss it, and then we decide on one together. I don't think that there's been one where that's happened yet where we haven't done that.
I'm saying.
Where we all decide on it, yeah.
Well, we have it tonight. So, fellas, we're going to go through the formation that we're going to play is a 4-3-3. And so starting off in goal, who has their first shout? So we're all going to say our shouts, and then we got to decide on one.
Mine's already been talked about on this pod, but Emi Martinez, and I think
he's underrated. The guy that just won the best goalie in the world.
Okay, well, we did.
Do you know the meaning?
Maybe we shouldn't have started there.
Yes, but we also talked about not being talked on our pod is underrated for us. Like, we don't talk about him enough. He needs to be talked about more. I think he's quality. I think he put in another performance. I think he's better than Allison, in my opinion.
I mean, that is a shout. I don't know if it fits
that could be our 10-minute segment right there.
you said, here we go. Let's buckle in.
But throw out other ideas then. We can vote me out.
My shout is Sam Johnston.
Yep.
From Crystal Palace. He's been in the team of the week for the Prem multiple weeks of this season. And like, even though he just came off of a loss against Luton, I still think that he has kept Crystal Palace in the game numerous times, got an England call up yet again. I think that he's been severely underrated because when we talk about like the best keepers in the league, he's like never even cracking the conversation.
I think that's a good shout.
Any other thoughts? Any other
I don't know if you guys are gonna think he's underrated, but I think Nick Pope has been putting in some good performances as well.
Yeah, for me, he was one of the best goalies in the league last year.
That's how I felt too.
But again, we didn't talk about him much. I like the Johnstone take though. He was on my short list. I think he's one of the only ones tied with Onana for clean sheets, I believe.
Yeah, and I will say that like, I can't call Onana underrated because of obviously he was a huge price tag and like everyone
team of the year.
Honestly,
I know, but that's the thing. So I can't call him underrated. But I was like, based on my thoughts of the first couple of weeks of the season, I thought that he was destined for a dog shit year, and he's really turned it around. So
yeah,
I don't feel comfortable with calling him underrated. But
he was also on that short list. But it's weird because of like some of the mistakes he made early on in the season.
You just can't.
I don't know if Winks will say it. Who've I got you? I think Vicario has to be in this discussion.
Literally, I can show you my screen. Those three were my
choices.
Underrated.
Yeah,
I think Vicario's been better than Pope. Like
he's been really impressive.
He's one of two Spurs players, believe it or not, on my underrated 11.
I'll take that. Nice. I'll take that for sure. No, Vicario's been good with his feet too. Like there's so much in the modern day goalkeeping situation to where like if you're gonna play out of the back and you're gonna like progressively pass the ball back to front, like they're super important pieces these days. And Hugo Lloris couldn't do that, and his age was showing. So he's been an extremely pleasant surprise. Everyone wants to make a Brighton signing till it's time to make a Brighton signing.
Exactly. I'm comfortable with Vicario. He was also one of my choices. I think Johnson is like the more like hipster choice, just because he's a little bit more obscure. But I'm cool with Vicario as well.
Boys, what do we think?
Lockett.
Yeah, I'm good with it.
Vicky?
Vicario?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, moving on to right back.
I hate him, but Matty Cash.
Dude.
Stop it, dude.
Mine's
No
Lamptey.
And I'll leave it at that.
I have Lamptey on my list too.
I like Tyreek Lamptey.
I like Lamptey.
We just go off of who we like more as people.
Matty Cash had to switch his allegiance to Poland to get international shouts. So
that is true. That is true. So I have Lamptey on my short list. I have Malagusto on my short list. I think that he's a baller. He's young. He still has a mistake in him, but I think he's a baller. And then you all might not like this. I have Wan-Bissaka on my underrated list. I think that he is an absolute demon of a defender.
No, anytime we talk about defensive defensemen, he's
properly rated to me. He's just a baller, in my opinion.
I like
Lamptey.
I'm good with Lamptey too. I'm not going to.
I like your Gusto shout, and honestly, that was like one of the only Chelsea people I was thinking of.
Yeah, I'm trying to decide if I have any other Chelsea. Yeah, I think that was my only Chelsea shout. Okay, now moving on to the two.
Who did we pick on that one?
Lamptey.
Okay.
Lamptey.
Okay.
The two center back spots. I have one that I feel like is a lock. Nathan Ake.
Yep.
I know that he's just part of the treble winning side. I get that.
I was about to say that I thought you guys would ream me for it.
To be fair, I think even though they're City center backs, I even think like a Kanji could sort of be on this list.
Yeah, I think so too. I don't think that's a bad shout.
There's so many on that team that are so good.
Yeah. But they both have just been quietly like starting consistently and very good.
Yes.
Ugh. Yeah, and then I think Ake as well with like he's able to play left back, he's able to play right back, he's able to score goals. Like I just think that you can really stick him anywhere in the back four, and you could even play him at CDM, and I think that he would do a job. I think that he's sick.
This is the only time I'll throw in another Chelsea player, and it's for Colwill, because I think
Levi Colwill.
Yeah, I think he's a baller, but
I don't know.
I feel like our sample size is too small. I don't think he's a bad player too, because we just haven't seen enough like
I agree with
strong performances. And
I don't know. I think with Levi Colwill, I think last year, I think he was so good at Brighton that like Brighton tried to re-sign him for a lot of money, and then Chelsea was like, no, you can pay us 80 million, and Brighton were like, fuck you. And then like he started off really well this season. Like maybe Chelsea wasn't winning games, but he was playing well.
he was balling.
I don't know if I see it as underrated.
my only other one is, or not only other one, but is Mark Gahey
I
underrated?
have Mark Gahey on mine too, bro.
Okay, but he's getting England shouts now.
I get that, but like I feel like whenever people talk about like the best center backs like in the league, Gahey is not one of the ones that they talk about.
That's a good point. Yeah,
And then I even think that like Anderson, who's also on Crystal Palace, like a lot of people are talking about Anderson this season because he scored that great goal against United, and then he can also play these like great long balls and things like that. I think Gahey just kind of gets like under the radar.
No, I think I think it was either this past summer or in January. I know Arsenal were linked with Gahey, and I was like excited for that when we were looking at depth. I really like that shout. I also have. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm worried that his price tag's like super expensive, right?
Yeah.
Like they put a crazy.
How old is he though?
He's young. He's like 22, 23.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. All right. That doesn't make him
justified.
underrated.
Another one that we don't have to go with, but I think deserved a shout. Like, you know, we talked about a couple of defenders who were scoring goals, but defensively, Tarkowski at Everton. I know that when we played him,
The good old Brexit center back.
yeah, dude, he had more blocks because like they sat in that low block against us like they do a lot of the big six clubs, but like he seems to be in every shooting lane ever. And I'm guessing he leads the Premier League in blocks right now. If not, he's like top 2 or 3. But that dude defensively in the low block that they play a lot of times is locked down. So I'm gonna give him a shout too.
I don't mind it. I like that.
I don't think.
My other one, we already mentioned him earlier, is Pau Torres. I just think
So do I. I have Torres too.
Pau Torres is another one. This is a tough position. Tarkowski is one of those. He kind of looks like Maguire, but like is more skilled than Maguire.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
That's a great shout.
He's a little bit more like he's not as chaotic as Maguire.
Yeah, like he looks like a fridge, but like a more agile.
Like his ice and water on the left side works, and Maguire's doesn't.
I do want to shout back to Tarkowski. He does have the most blocks in the league. It's 20 blocks.
Yeah.
Well, block and a half.
Dude blocks everything.
Like that. Yeah.
Do we do Tarkowski?
Is that too hot?
I think it's Ake.
That doesn't play on a graphic.
Are we agreeing on Ake? If we're agreeing on Ake, I think Mark Gahey's a good shout. Too.
I think so too. I think it's
we can do it for the clicks. I'm okay with that.
I like
Ake and Mark.
too.
I like Pau Torres as well. I think that he's sick.
Yeah.
Who's more underrated? Because one of them was highly rated in Spain. The other one's 22.
Gahey probably if you phrase it that way.
I like Gahey.
The only other one, and you all are not going to like it, so I'm just going to throw that out there, is Victor Lindelof. I think that he's been at the club.
Stop, bro. It's trash.
No, don't say that. Don't say that.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Don't say that.
Get out of
Don't
here.
say
Okay, he's not trash.
Making Van Hens clear.
Bro, him and Maguire just don't balance well. I think is the biggest issue.
No, not even a little bit. But like Lindelof has also been in the team of the week numerous times this season at numerous positions this season.
Worldy in the 90th minute to score.
Whatever.
To get 3 points in the 90. Like, yeah, whatever. No.
I said that you all aren't going to like it. So
And you were right.
So we're going Ake and Gahey.
Yeah, I'm with that.
I'm good with it.
Left back.
I'm going to make the shout because Tottenham fan, but Destiny Udogi's a baller.
He's my
Yeah,
first on this list.
For being
that's
so
a
young
good option.
and to come from, I think it was like Salernitana or whatever, where he was like dropping man of the match performances at 20. I think there's a lot of refining he's going to have to do, but he should be looked at more highly.
I have him written down. I like him. He's actually my first choice. And the other one that I have is Tyrick Mitchell from Crystal Palace as well. He had a lot of notoriety 2 years ago, linked with a big time move, never happened. But he's just been slowly creeping his way into just like great performances. But Udogie is my number one. But if anyone wanted to debate it, Tyrick Mitchell is my backup.
Debate it, Winks.
Yeah, I'm a little bit disappointed in the lack of banter in this.
Dude, the hardest
We're so
one is
unanimous.
the back line. The back line is the hardest.
Dan Burn?
Yeah.
Is he left back?
Yeah.
Yeah, he plays left back.
Yeah, he does. He's huge.
I mean,
I'm not
can
gonna
we can we put Kai Havertz there?
I mean, if he keeps
Or is it
performing,
strictly Premier League
absolutely.
because he hasn't played
Did he
left back
come
for
in
us yet?
at the weekend at left back?
No,
Okay, I was gonna say.
he came off the bench in for Martinelli.
All right, Udogie.
I mean, Estupinian was like our pick, so we
No,
can't.
he's so highly rated.
Yeah,
Estupinian was our like
I know.
Everyone
beginning of
knows
the year
that.
left back of the
Yes.
Everyone knows.
Hello.
All right, Destiny. Okay, 3 central midfielders.
Should we do like 6, 8, and 10, or should we just?
I don't think we have to.
I don't think we have to.
I'm open to whatever.
All I know is James Ward-Prowse has to be in there, right?
Yeah, he's on my list.
So yeah. So honestly, I had the whole West Ham starting midfield 3 as my underrated because James Ward-Prowse has had an unreal. So the way I think about it, like I think I said it before we started recording, but like West Ham wasn't projected to do well at all after losing Declan over the summer, and for them to still be like upper middle of the table without their captain from all year last year. Obviously, JWP was an incredible signing, but like coming into a new team first season, surrounded by much better players, which is what he deserved. He's done really well. Jared Bowen's been a standout player, and with those two players, Lucas Paqueta has been falling severely under the radar. But Paqueta was one of the best players on the field whenever they played us earlier this season and gave us one of our first losses. Well, I guess the loss that kicked us out of the Mickey Mouse Cup. But for me, those 3, and there are several other players I have on this list, but like as a trio, I think that all 3 of those guys go under the radar, especially with all the stud midfielders across the big 6 clubs right now.
It's not bad.
Maybe even, and I hate this so much, and we're not going to put him on here, but Conor Gallagher surprised me a lot.
Yeah.
That's the one I was getting ready to say. And
Yeah,
because of his stinker this weekend is like recency
Stinker,
bias a
dude.
little bit. But like he's been good. He's been one of Chelsea's best players.
Yeah,
I agree.
him
and
and
I
Raheem
think
the
that's
Dream.
why I gave the Caicedo shout, because I think this last game, Connor really had to like put in a shift, and he could not leave up to it. When it was Enzo and Caicedo beneath him, he plays so much more simpler and plays.
I don't mind the Gallagher shout. I think that he's really silenced some critics this season so far.
I was one of them. I was.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I want to throw out John McGinn. I know that
McGinn.
he's Villa's captain, and he
I know
seems
who
like
John McGinn is.
well, right, but he's like a steady Eddie. But like he can play anywhere in the midfield line. He started numerous games at right mid, left mid, center mid. He could do it all, and I feel like he's always going to drop like 7.5 performances every single time. Has a worldie in him. I think that it's there.
I think I'm taking Douglas Luiz before John
That
McGinn.
was my next shout. Yeah, I'm just going to say
on
that's
I
my
He's
next
really
shout.
so
I have
fucking good.
I have McGinn and Douglas Luiz as 2.
Douglas Luiz is a baller, man.
I think he is so good.
Yes.
He carved us.
Man is rapid, dude. He's everywhere. He was everywhere that game too. He was at the 6 spot. He was at the 10. He was up and back as an 8.
And he's scoring goals this season too.
5. He's got 5
Granted,
goals.
I know
2
some of them have
assists.
been pens. I get that, but I mean, he's making it happen for sure.
All right, so how many do we have? Have we decided anything?
Not really. We have shouts for McGinn, Douglas Luiz, James Ward-Prowse, Connor Gallagher.
James Ward-Prowse should be in, right?
I want to throw out Pascal
I'm good with
Gross
that.
as well.
I had Pascal Gross.
Swiss Army
he did
knife.
well too. Yeah.
You could put him in 6 different positions on this list. Grob.
Who else, man?
We got to make decisions here. I think James Ward-Prowse, for me, Douglas
James
Luiz.
Ward-Prowse. I love
I agree
Douglas
with
Luiz
both
too.
of those. I agree with both of those.
And I'll throw out a John McGinn or a Connor Gallagher.
I can handle Conor McGallagher.
Conor
McGregor.
Conor McGregor.
Connor Gallagher.
You're like, I'm cool with it.
Oh, it's so bad just because he was
so
horrible
lame,
Saturday.
dude.
No. Hey, we're gonna get clicks on that one.
Here's the thing: is he all-time underrated, or is he just underrated this season?
This season.
For sure has been this
Because
season.
he's not done anything to have led us to believe that he was going to be a baller.
Right.
Yeah.
Also, for what it's worth, if you go on to Pascal Gross's player profile, his primary position is a defensive midfielder. His other positions are right back, left back, central midfielder, and attacking midfielder. Guy's a Swiss Army knife. He can do it. He can do it all, man. 32 years old, just dropping a consistent 7.5.
Only other person, just last shout out. I don't even think he should be on it, but Billy G.
Billy Gilmore. Is it just because it's a flashy name, or do you actually think he's underrated?
No, I think he's been putting on some performances at Brighton. I think he's been playing well.
Okay, he's not going to make my list. Also, Steffi, if you go onto his FOTMob rating for the season, he's 6.66.
Henry,
So-
why are you? We just discussed how shit Fatma was, and then you just
There might be
immediately
some-
go back to it. It's
Some
hilarious.
devilish things happening with him.
Hilarious.
6.66. That's crazy.
Hilarious to me.
Okay, so what are you doing? James Ward-Prowse.
Douglas Luiz.
And Connor Gallagher.
Love it.
Are we going with a 6 and 2/8? 2 box-to-box boys?
Absolutely. Who needs a 10?
You're right.
Our front three are going to be powerhouses.
You're right.
Okay.
Have to be.
Okay,
We
so
don't need a can.
we're doing a left wing, a striker, and a right wing. Cool.
Are we starting?
Let's start off with the left wing. All of us are like, ooh. I have mine. I'm gonna go Huang from Wolves.
Is he off the left?
He plays right wing, striker, left wing, left mid, right mid. I'm going.
This may not
off the
be
left.
this may not be underrated because he plays for City, but like I did not expect it out of Doku.
I was disgusting.
He's the
Yeah.
My
because
shout.
of where he came from too. It's not like he was at some crazy.
Yeah,
big
I
club
wasn't.
doing
I
that.
wasn't I was expecting him and Grealish to like rotate a little
I
bit. Like
agree.
Doku has been the first option at left wing for like
I
weeks
agree.
now.
Insane.
Yeah, on that one.
I do remember watching Doku like come on for his debut for Belgium and being like, "Who the fuck is this guy?"
Dude,
Like,
he's
this
a FIFA manager career wonder kid.
Yes,
we were signing
he
him
is.
back in 2018.
yeah, we were.
He's supposed to
Darn
be
right
like
we
this.
were.
Yeah.
Okay, Doku, I can deal with that. I can deal with the Doku shout.
He was the only one I agree, Dobes. I just didn't know if he was underrated or not because, like you said, he plays for City.
To me, I don't know. To me, it's like truthfully, I knew a little bit about him, but I just didn't expect it instant impact. I guess I should say.
Do we think though that he might be properly rated? Because like, didn't he sign for
Yeah.
like 60 million or something?
That's the thing for sure. He's
Which
also a
isn't
kid.
it's not his
that
fault.
much.
But he's 21 years old. He definitely has a lot of life to live ahead of him, but he did make an instant impact. Some guys on that City team did not. Grealish was benched for an entire season before he started making an impact. Maybe we go
Well,
through
I
the
like
front
the
three
three.
as a whole, and then we
Yeah,
can come
let's-
back to the
yeah.
left wing.
Okay.
All right, striker.
Ollie Watkins.
Ollie Watkins.
Ooh.
I have Trossard.
He
See,
was definitely
he's-
on my list too.
He's
Trossard.
tough, and I would put him in there as left wing, because I think he's played that position more when.
But I think he's an underrated striker.
I
What
think so
about-
too, bro?
What about Dominic Solanke? Is that wild? Is that ridiculous of me to throw out?
It's not a ridiculous shout. No,
He's
No.
not. I don't think he's the most underrated, but I think he's better than Bournemouth.
What about Isak?
That was going to be my
do,
next
do
one.
not say he's underrated.
No, I
Absolutely
think he's-
not.
I rated him
I
super
think
highly.
he's disgusting.
Yeah, outside of
Gross.
Holland, whenever we were doing our team of the seasons, he was going to be.
I think
Up
I had
there.
him up there too. Yeah.
And also, he legitimately was like, I think a $65 million signing. Like he was big bucks. Like from the moment he came in, we knew that he was going to be that guy.
I would love to have him
Same.
in
Same.
my club. Man, I like the Trossard shot though, but
I'm sure you do.
I thought he was a player at Brighton too. Like not
Yeah.
saying that he's not underrated.
but like when he came
We've
here,
seen this.
he was older though, and so I
It makes
surely
sense.
wasn't I was expecting him to have an impact, but not like he has, especially coming off the bench as much.
How do you say the dude's name for Brentford? Embuemo or whatever.
Mbeumo.
He's my right wing shout.
Dude,
Isn't he?
we're gonna have an argument about right wing. I think.
Yeah.
That's the one that
wing
I've
I have
got.
in Buemo.
Because he was on there for me.
Okay, what do we?
I
have
like
for-
the Ollie Watkins shout.
I like Ollie Watkins. I like Hwang.
Ali, Huang, and Trossard we have at striker.
Okay,
I'm staying Ollie Watkins. Pedro Neto.
Is Ollie Watkins playing for England too?
I think he got minutes. He's been called up.
Mm.
I don't know if he's played though. Actually, I think he did the
I mean-
last cycle. I think he scored.
He's playing one of the only positions that's pretty much irreplaceable on that team.
Yeah,
So
totally.
all right, yeah, let's do that. I had where the fuck? Yeah, I had Pedro Neto
Yep.
off the
Yep.
right.
Yep.
He's disgusting. Hehe's disgusting.
Could I
Leading the league in
interest you
assists.
all?
Leading the league in
For a
assists
very long
as a
time.
right winger.
Could I interest you all in moving Embuemo to the striker role in our underrated 11? Because I think Embuemo is too good to leave off of this underrated 11. But if he's not going to be the right winger, that leaves us the striker position.
I think he's more underrated than Ollie Watkins,
So do I.
I agree with that statement.
and I think Pedro Neto is more underrated than maybe the rest of the front three.
Yeah.
Okay. Here for it.
I'm with that.
Is Neto underrated? I feel like he's rated.
Yeah.
I think he's worth money, but it's not like he's still at Wolves.
Yeah, true.
Like,
Didn't he just get hurt again though?
I don't know.
Yeah, like he hamstring
Hamstring.
injury mid-December.
yeah,
He's 23. His market value is only 36 million, which I feel like is a
Sign me the fuck up.
Yeah.
Underrated.
he's a baller.
Where'd you
Underrated.
find that at FOTMob again?
Yeah, bro.
Batman pulls their transfer value from
Wow,
transfer
bro.
market. That's okay. That's okay.
Yeah. This is what we have. Okay, so if we read a full lineup, what do we have here? Lucas, have you been keeping track?
Come on, you know me.
Yes.
Love that.
Yeah, we have Vicario at keeper, Lamptey at right back, Ake and Gehi at center back, Udogie at left back, Ward-Prowse, Douglas Luiz specifically.
David
Liverpool and the
David,
shit.
Yeah.
back from retirement.
Yeah.
Real.
Conor McGregor at center mid, Mr. Doku at left wing, and Mbeumo at striker, and Pedro Neto at right wing.
It's a sick lineup.
Yeah.
I don't think they'd win very many titles or anything, but that's a fun lineup to
They would
watch.
work their ass off.
I
though.
would.
think this is the only the next 5 months. This is the only time that we're going to be allowed to call Doku underrated because I think he's about to
Yeah.
start
From here on
his
out.
way up. Yeah,
From here on out.
this is it.
Well, gentlemen, that concludes this week's episode of the Mecca Banter podcast. Shout out to you all. Thanks for listening thus far. I want to encourage you to follow us on all of our social medias. Hit us up on the Twitter or on the X, I guess. Look at our TikTok if we ever decide to make one again. And we're looking forward to next week as well. Cheers, lads. Great job.
Cheers,
Cheers,
boys.
Yeah, boys.